Here we are, right back into another Stormgate cast, and my name is Algorithmore, and this is going to be Arno Breker 88 here in the Blue Infernal, and his opponent is going to be the Architect, aka my buddy Dutchy. Okay, and Dutchy's opening here with the Conclave, throwing out the GLHF, and marching his old Hexen across the map. These Hexen have taken different routes, so they aren't going to meet up. They're not going to take any pot shots on each other. They're going to miss each other. And it looks like it's going to be Vault Conclave. They're so close in timing that it looks like it was the Vault just second, maybe 1 second before. And it's a Conclave into probably an expansion is what it looks like here. But there is a Hexen here trying to be annoying, and this Imp, the Imp says, I'm building a farm and tricked ya. I'm going to build it over here instead. And meanwhile, the Hexen of Dutchy gets a scout out as well, seeing those two production buildings and then teleporting home. And now the Hexens are going to chase this other Hexen. This Hexen is getting caught by the Gaunts, and the Gaunts do get some good hits. Are they going to get it? No, she does manage to finish her hokey pokey and turn herself around. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And here we have that cool little creeping style. Get those Gaunts tanking as well. Although these Gaunts look like, yeah, they were maybe taking more than they really wanted to be tanking there. But still does alright. They're getting pretty low. They're going to have to get microed back again. Yes, indeed they are. But now there's a ton of fiends out of the Skulls of Shedda, and their DPS is high enough to clean up the rest of those units. And we're seeing the same thing happening over here for Arno Breker number 88. And so both of them have cleaned that up. And just soaking in those juices for the moment, trying to heal up. We see Brutes being added here by Arno Breker, and he has not yet expanded. So out of this 2 production building opening, we see a lot of units. And those units for the moment are being used to creep. While we see the same things going on for Dutchy on the other side, but with not quite so many units. He's in fact cut and stayed on 2 Gaunts. 2 Gaunts is a little bit hard to creep all these out. I mean, you can do it, but you need to micro a lot more. And, ooh, not seeing the splash damage on the ground there. I think he thought he had avoided it, but it actually still took damage from that charge. We see Arno Breker actually moving out, also trying to take the speed cam. Is he going to be aggressive with it after taking the cam? He's got the lightning legs, and indeed, he's going to zip right on out. Now, Dutchy did notice this coming, and he's moving back, and we already see there's a Shroud Stone there. That's a beauty place. Look at this SimCity here. More units popping out, and those units are just very well placed, and actually getting some really nice kills on Arno Breker's units before his other army arrives back. And his army, remember, his army wasn't big. He just had a few Fiends, and he had a couple Gaunts and a Hexen here, but they did get a kind of nice flank and push this army back. And is that Plague Axis? No, it must have been Nightfall Infestation on all these units. And we see a lot of them going down. These Brutes trying to get some DPS out. But these Gaunts cleaning them up. Actually, kind of an equal trade. They both decide to walk away there at the end. No pursuit in either way. And these are a lot of low Gaunts. Going to soak up some of that Shroud skin as they stand on the Shroud. But they could, of course, also jump inside that healing camp, pop an effigy right there, stand right on the edge of the healing camp and heal both of your bars up, okay? Now what that really does is going to speed up that healing, because not only are you healing on one of those, you're healing on both of them. Arnold Breker back here looks like he's getting ready to creep, but that's not the kind of creep force you want to take against the Bruiser. The Bruiser hits pretty hard. And here now we see healing up the health camp as well. Just taking a little longer because, as I said, he didn't double up on that. So Dutchy now finally creeping this camp, which has not yet been creeped. And those units moving back, deciding, yeah, not going to creep the Bruiser. He's a little too tough. And it's now that a second base is going down. Now remember, Arno Breker was on a 1 base when he did that pressure. and really needs to get back in this. He's actually going for a double expansion. Now, if he is able to sit back on these few number of units and not be pressured by Duchy, he's going to be able to get that eco advantage and maybe get back in it. For the moment, though, Duchy does have the advantage, and we now see a Wraithstone here. Early Wraithstone, that's going to be a huge defensive advantage. So, certainly would have been helpful earlier on, although the Shroud Stone was already up, and that helped to make sure that he held that early aggression quite easily, actually. And that third base is almost up, and we do see mining happening at the natural. So for the moment, Arno Breker is going to be able to, well, try and get back in this, try and recover from that early pressure. Well, the failure of his early pressure, that is. And he's got this really nice Shroud Highway going here. This is one of the nicer ones. And it goes all the way back to his base. So that's not always something that you see. Some higher level players argue you don't need this connection from your main to your natural. I'm not a higher level player, and I think it's kind of alright if some of your production is back there, which is not exactly the case. When your units are walking over that path, they will be regenerating that Shroud Skin, meaning when they get out onto the map, they will just have a little bit more of it, which, who can argue with that? Who can argue with more HP? So Arno Breker now taking this base, as his third is now up. And Duchy is just putting down his third now. We say Arno Breker's base is up, at least the shrine is up. We don't see any mining imps there yet. And we are at full saturation here. We can see that his rally has changed over to this base here. And, ooh, just in time to see that Duchy is loading up some drops, leaving his Hexen at home, interestingly. And I think, you know, why not? Drops can be a little bit risky. We sometimes lose all the units. And you might want to preserve that valuable Hexen. But also, there was not any room in the Harbinger, so maybe the last brute in the doors have no room left. You got to stay here. And let's see where they do. They look like they're going to be heading to the main. And it's not a great time for Arno Breker to be moving out with his units as well. Now they're out of position. These units land and immediately take out some imps. There is one Weaver here, but she's not going to do very well all by herself. And now that army is going to try and get back, but there's going to be some micro here, and those units all get picked up, and those Harbingers just scoot their way out. Meanwhile, the Fiends are kind of being annoying, just getting some DPS down, trying to kill some imps. And these Harbingers micro their way back around out to the front. And are they going to pop down on these imps as well? There are units already here. I see the health camp, but there's nothing to take there. It's currently respawned. And now they find this third base. They're going to definitely get some kills here. Drop down, take out both the Shroud Stones. And have to pick up really quickly, as there was a good army control from Arno Breker to get his units over there as well. And so those dropships get chased away for now, but not to be dissuaded, he still has Fiends in this base. And Arno Breker is going to have to go back and take them out. And the dropships are rotating around. Now this would have been a good opportunity for those dropships to attack the third again, but they're actually rotating back right where the army is. Now Duchy should have known that was happening because he saw the armies coming clear out his Fiends, but he's happy to just get one more imp kill and scoot away. Now if he goes straight to the third, he's going to do a good job. Now instead he's going to start taking out the Shroud Highway, and that can be useful just to block the vision, because as he flies over with his Harbingers, if his opponent has vision, then he's going to know that the drop is coming. So as I mentioned, if Arno Breker was able to get those bases up, he might be able to get back in it, and it looks like indeed he has. His army now is matched up with Duchy's, and while Duchy has got his third base up with more Wraithstones, really loving the Wraithstones here, he's even in supply. There are both of these players are even in supply now. But we do see a fourth base going down for Duchy, and that might allow him to get back ahead again. Now this army, largely just Brutes and Gaunts, are pushing right into the third here. But remember, there's this Wraithstone here. And one of the big things about the Wraithstone is its slow ability. So those units trying to retreat, and they're just so slow in that retreat. And now we're getting a huge flank. Huge Magmadon flank as these Magmadons get as this army's trying to run up the ramp. And that is the kind of engage you want to get in an IVI. Catching those units on both sides. There was nowhere for them to go. And with exactly the units you need to take them out. That looks like that is going to clean up that whole army. Now, that could be the end of the game right there, as we now see a huge swing from almost even supplies to about a 30 to 40 supply lead now. And while continuing to creep out that tower that got aggroed from that battle. But now we have a bunch of drop ships, even more Harbingers here. Looks like Magmadons and Weavers getting loaded in. Where are you going? Oh, they're going to pick up even more Mags. It's just going to be a Mag party, it looks like. And where are they headed? Is this going to be a Doom drop? Or is this just for dropping on the army? We will see. So it's all Mags, so this can be very useful when you drop it on an army. But they are coming here to this base. This base is very well protected. And they drop down. Mags get dropped down. Nightfall infestation. Huge tramples. Lots of fiends arriving as a result. One Magmadon gonna get focus fired down. And it looks like, yeah, this is just a well-defended base. But up here, this Therian base is going to get denied here for the moment. And now chopping down these trees. What this does, it seems like it gives it access to Arno Breker into that base, but really what it does is allow Duchy to get access to this Therium if he wants to expand there, and he can position his army over here in a defensive position of his base while also being in aggressive position. Very interesting with we see that there's Miasma there coming out of the Hexen, and that was used to just get some fiends and get some extra damage, of course, on those creeps while he was creeping. But that's going to be very interesting if it's going to impact this battle now. Harbinger's up above, having to retreat back. Speedy leg Magmadon's getting forward. Look at them get ahead. Lots of travel. So many. Oh, you gotta love to see that many stuns when you are trampling. Now there's a Miasma going down, but all those units have already been cleaned up. And a second really good engage for Duchy there. And Arno Breker trying to stay in it. He's got a lot of Weavers here. Those are considered to be a counter to the Magmadons, but there are more Magmadons here than there are Weavers, and that's usually not what you want to see if you're on the Weaver side of that kind of engage. Now this is what I'm talking about. Here we see Duchy taking this Therium base and placing a lot of static D here. Now his army can just happily squat here, and if he really wants, get some Hellborn out and siege down on the low ground, or try and engage this army that is going to be forced to stay here to be defensive against Duchy's sort of aggressive and defensive positioning at the same time. We see those Hexen are putting down some mines. Those mines are going to be a nice defensive touch. And now what's he doing with his armies? He's going to push into the third? This is such a huge defensive position. I don't really know if you want to do that. But sure enough, he's going to. Another Miasma going down on all those imps. So those imps are... Oh, but actually, that Hexen retreating. And there's just too many Shroudstones here. You don't want to attack that without Hellborn, in my opinion. I wouldn't want to. But trying to get something happen. Those Harbingers staying there on the ground. Miasma in the back, getting on top of that Weaver. That Weaver's going to go down. Oh, Weavers go down fast under Miasma. More nice tramples here. And it looks like this army is also going to get cleaned up here. We've got Hellborn firing from, or a single Hellborn here, two Hellborn here, actually three, hiding, one hiding down there, trying to get some good damage, but these Weaver, or these Magmadons actually just surrounding one of these Hellborn, taking it out, and actually just a nice kind of concave here from this larger army from Duchy. Duchy's not going to push into those Shroud Stones down below, wisely moving into the army here, trying to take out these Hellborns. So many Magmadons here, staying alive, and this Shroud Highway now kind of working more for Duchy than it is for Arno Breker, as his Magmadons are regenerating really quickly and are staying alive on top of that Shroud. But still, for the moment, it looks like they have, well, that looks like that is actually going to be GG out of Arno Breker.